Bronze Age rise and collapse. Mesopotamian civilization. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video series we discuss the rise and collapse of major Bronze Age civilization around different parts of the world. Today we will start with Mesopotamia. The history of Mesopotamia ranges from the earliest human occupation in the Lower Sumaya period up to the late antiquity. Mesopotamia has been home to many of the oldest major civilizations, entering history from the early Bronze Age, for which reason it is often known as the cradle of civilization. Mesopotamia literally means, between the rivers, in ancient Greek. The oldest known occurrence of the name Mesopotamia dates to the 4th century BC, when it was used to designate the land between two rivers Euphrates and Tigris. Humans first settled in Mesopotamia in the Paleolithic era. By 14,000 BC, people in the region lived in small settlements with circular houses. A few hundred or even thousand years later, these small settlements started domestication of animals and eventually that led to development of agriculture around the area. However, agriculture was limited because of the unpredictable floods caused by the rivers. The advanced irrigation system would not be developed until Ubaid, a dominant culture in southern Mesopotamia, would absorb the Halaf culture. First settlements. Around 4th millennial BC, these scattered agricultural settlements started to join together and form the Sumerian culture as we know today. Mesopotamian region continuing to grow for several thousand years until forming structure that modern humans can recognize as cities, which were considered the work of the Sumerians. Uruk was the first of these cities, dating back to around 3200 BC. Major Sumerian city-states included Eridu, Nippur, Lagash and Kish, but one of the oldest and most sprawling was Uruk. It was a mud-brick metropolis filled with riches from trade not only from the Sumerian cities but also from other major civilizations like Indus Valley, ancient Egypt. At its peak, Uruk had a population around 50 to 80,000 people by 3000 BC. Mesopotamia was firmly under the control of the Sumerian people. Sumer contained several decentralized city-states. The first king of a united Sumer is recorded as Etana of Kish. Kingdoms and empire. Mesopotamia consisted of decentralized city-states that often fought each other for the control of the region. Mesopotamian history consists of several kingdoms that ruled around the region, and each rulers and kingdom made a significant impact on the Sumerian culture. I'll try to make more detailed videos on the kingdoms as well, let me know in the comments. Some of the major kingdoms that had the major impact on the development of Sumerian culture and architecture were the Akkadian, Gutians, Ur-Nama, the Babylonians and the Assyrians. These kingdoms were often in power struggle with each other. The kingdoms often fought one another, but under the Gutians' control, Sumerian people went through a century of unrest and violence. Utu-Hengil, the leader of Ur, was able to defeat the Gutians and establish Sumerian control back over the war-torn region. Gods, art and architecture. The Mesopotamian religion includes worshipping several main gods and thousands of minor gods. The three main gods were Ea, Sumerian, Enki, the god of wisdom and magic, Anu, Sumerian, and the sky god, and Enlil, the god of earth, storms and agriculture and the controller of fates. Stories about the Garden of Eden, the Great Flood, and the creation of the Tower of Babel found their way into the Bible and influenced both Christianity and Islam. Mesopotamian art predates the civilization itself. The innovations there include creating art on a larger scale, often in the context of their grandiose and complex architecture. One of the earliest examples of metalwork can also be seen around 3000 BC in the southern region. Mesopotamian art often depicted its rulers and the glories of their lives. Also created around 2500 BC, the Mesopotamian architecture includes world's first library constructed by Ashurbanipal. The first use of language could also be traced back to Mesopotamia. They used clay tablets to write on. They had a complex language system. Sumerians also constructed thick walls around their cities. These walls could range more than 30 miles. The Sumerian also constructed lavish palaces, statues, painting, carving and beautiful gardens using their complex irrigation system. The most famous architecture made by Sumerians is known for its ornate architecture, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Walls of Babylon and the Ishtar Ghat constructed by Nebuchadnezzar. Fall of civilization. It may be hard to wrap one's head around how such a thriving people as the ancient Mesopotamians could fall. A study suggests that the series of droughts and inconsistent produce of harvest due to lack of water and increasing amount of salt in the previously dry soil caused huge number of people to migrate from the region. These migrations left the region weak and easy for target for future invasion. Persian Emperor Cyrus II seized power during the reign of Nabonidus in 539 BC. A new study even suggests that the Sumerian cities disappeared was because of the dust storms. Mesopotamian culture was slowly declining under Persian rule. By the time Alexander the Great conquered Persia, most of the great Sumerian cities no longer existed and their culture was overtaken by the Persians. Eventually, the region was taken by the Romans in 116 AD and finally Arabic Muslims in 651 AD.